Hello and welcome back to episode 11 of Pilates with Marilyn. My name is Marilyn Harder, Pilates instructor and Pilates master trainer. This week we are going to focus in on our Pilates breathing and exercises that enhance and challenge the connection with our Pilates breath, specifically our Pilates 100 and some of our mobility series in the rolling series that uses the breath as a locomotion. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started on our backs in the supine position, gazing up towards the ceiling. So as you lay down today, we are going to start in our pelvic rocks. So let's take our hands into our diamond position, dropping the thumbs just below the belly button, fingertips towards that pubic bone. I'm going to have you take a nice big inhale in to prepare. Make sure that the shoulder blades are back and down. And then exhale, roll that imaginary marble towards your belly button. Find that full and complete breath that cinches the waistline and tries to broaden and flatten that core. And then inhale, roll that imaginary marble towards your pubic bone. Try not to press through the feet, activate the legs, use the core to move and rock that pelvic bowl. Continue to move. Now as you exhale, try and keep those ribs knitted together or drawn together and down towards the floor. We're not smashing the low back into the floor, just elongating the low back so every vertebrae touches. And inhale to return. Good, we'll go ahead and go one more. Hold it down there. Now, take those hands, flip them down by your sides, pressing actively into the floor. Let's inhale to prepare. Exhale, slowly float your foot up into a tabletop position. Use the exhale to create the motion. Now let's float the other one up. Nice big inhale in. Exhale. Facilitate that movement up. We are into that imprint starting with our toe taps. Glutes are engaged and activated, and I'm going to have you exhale to tap it down. Use the exhale to control the core. Inhale, scoop it back up. Now if that breath pattern doesn't work for you, switch it on the other side. Inhale to toe tap down. And exhale, scoop it up. Now there is no wrong way to breathe here. The breath is all about control. So we breathe into the lateral side and to the back side of the rib cage to create a three-dimensional breath that allows our core to stay active through the movement. Now our inhale is when our core is at the most expanded space because the rib cage is expanded. So it's the harder part of the movement. We'll go ahead and go one more each way. This for me is even and drawing it back in. Draw the knees a little closer to you, hands on top of those shins. Big inhale there. Exhale, chest lift up. Pull yourself up into that nice tight ball. Now we're going to support the head and continue our toe taps. I want you to take a look at the core. Inhale here. Now exhale, send the knees over the hips and try to flatten and widen the belly. Good. And let's continue gazing towards those thighs. I'm going to inhale this time as I tap down and exhale, draw it up. A question I often get is, what is the difference between a belly breath that we do in yoga versus a lateral lung breathing that we do in Pilates? Both are amazing forms of breath. Belly breath causes us to deepen the diaphragmatic drop, or the depth of our ability to expand the diaphragm. And it also allows us to tug on the vagus nerve. And that then goes into all of our organs. It's the wandering nerve, allowing us to go into a more relaxed, less anxious space. Now our Pilates breath, we'll go ahead and go one more pair, is all about keeping the core contracted while expanding and activating the rib cage. So our goal always is full and complete breath. That's the goal in both types of breathing. All right, now even out, set your head down, pull your knees into your chest, give yourself a rock right to left. Now, if we did a belly breath in Pilates, our core would often disconnect. So we want that lateral lung breathing to keep our core nice and tight. All right, we're gonna take a big inhale here. Exhale, chest lift up. Good, push your hands into your shins into your hands, and come up just a little bit more, but don't curl your tailbone under, lengthen it away. All right, we're going into a single leg stretch, but we're gonna add a percussive breath. So a percussive breath is a exhale to shrink the lungs, inhale to expand the lungs. So I want you to extend that left leg, pull the right one in, and take an inhale. Feel the ribs expand. Now switch, exhale, and switch. And so I'm going to do an inhale, exhale, then switch. Inhale, exhale, switch. Inhale, exhale, switch. It's all about the expansion of the rib cage. Inhale, exhale, and switch. Good. Let's go ahead and bring those knees on in and set the head down. Good. Set those toes down onto the floor, finding the connection with those arms again. All right, we're going into a bridge. So I want you to press your hands down by your sides, abdominals engage, root the feet into the earth, ball of the foot, big toe side, pinky toe side, center of the heel, and then we're going to hinge it up. As we do, I want you to feel those hips unweight, reaching the knees forward. Now we're going to take a nice inhale to hold there and organize our pelvic bowl. Tailbone reaches behind the knees, pubic bone draws up, open up the hips, and try and stack rib bowl to pelvic bowl. And then we're going to hinge back down. Good. So as we continue to move, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that breath. Rooting in through the feet, pressing through the hands. Inhale, feel your body lighten. Feel those ribs expand. Notice where the bottom of the rib cage is, towards the pelvic bowl. And now exhale, hinge it back down. The percussive breath, I don't know if you notice, is a more advanced variation of breath, because if that rib cage is nice and tight, like on my one side with scoliosis, that percussive breath can't continue to push out into that side of the rib cage. It's like a rubber band, and instead of getting bigger, my rib cage will go out and snap. So I'm not getting all the benefits of that percussive breath. Okay, now we're going into an articulation. Osteoporosis, disc issues, stay with the hinge. And exhale, curl through the tailbone, draw in those abdominals, root your feet into the earth, and roll it up one vertebrae at a time, all the way up to the top, reaching those knees towards the toes. Take a big inhale there. Feel the rib cage expand. Exhale, pull down the ribs. Reach the knees forward. Try and create space within that vertebrae as you roll that spine back down. Let's go one more like that. And exhale, curl it back up. Feel the spine leave the floor like a piece of Velcro being peeled away from the bottom. Trying to let each section of our body have a moment, organizing at the top, making sure you're on your shoulders and not your neck, and roll it back down. We are preparing for our articulation later in our rolling series. It will occur after the natural break, and if you have osteoporosis and disc issues, we do not want to roll onto that spine. All right, we're going to go ahead and explore our Pilates 100. Leaving our feet anchored onto the floor, flip the palms up towards the ceiling. Okay, the Pilates 100 is all about celebrating that expansive breath. So I want you to flip the palms up, big inhale there. Exhale, chest lift up. Now with those palms flipped up towards the ceiling, draw in that deep double chin. We are leaving the feet down for now. And I want you to try and pump at the shoulders. So when the shoulder blades lift, you don't want to feel the wing of the shoulder blade kind of dig into the floor. You want to keep them flat on your back. So it's tiny little pumps and hugs right underneath that armpit. Now flip the palms down. Can you keep that same feeling? That is what the pump is about. It's about connecting the shoulder blades or the scapula to the back side of that rib cage. So when you expand that three-dimensional breath, you're integrating the movement of the arms, the humerus, the lat connection and control with our breath. So when we can get our shoulder blades to stay flat and connected when we expand the breath, we'll have better shoulder mobility. Okay, so that's from a human mechanics perspective. Now, from a breath perspective, we want a deep mobilizing rib cage. All right, so let's go ahead and take a big inhale there. And exhale, chest lift up. Now that we've got that pump going, I want you to just hold it steady, and I want you to just go slow inhale, slow exhale. Feel and notice the left and right side of that rib cage expand, and exhale, blow it all the way out. Notice how tight and connected we can get it. Deep double chin. Let's do it again. Big in there. And exhale. Widen and flatten. Set it down. Second set, we're going to try that more advanced breath with that percussive sniff, sniff, sniff. Exhale, exhale, exhale. Now, if you feel your rib cage expand and you like the connection, awesome. If it feels like a rubber band continuing to snap closed versus expansion, the slow inhale, exhale is for you. Big inhale there. Exhale, chest lift up. The ultimate goal is to get to that sniffing breath. Okay, so now I'm going to add in that pump to my arms with my sniff. I'm just doing 3 for now. And lay it down. So the Pilates 100 is about picking which breath works for you, and for 100 counts, we are going to breathe. So we're going to breathe together. I may count in, I may count out. You can float your knees up to a tabletop if you want a greater challenge, but if you want to just focus in on the expansion of the lungs and the rib cage, leave those feet down. Hands up towards the ceiling. I'm going to start with a slow inhale, slow exhale for the first 5 rounds, and then sniff breath for the last 5 rounds. Big inhale there. Exhale, chest lift up. Good. Shoulders back and down. Find that connection with the shoulder blades down your back and begin to pump. Inhale. Exhale. 10. Inhale. Exhale. 20. Inhale. Come up a little bit more. Exhale. 30. Inhale. Exhale. 40. Inhale. Exhale. 50. Percussive breath. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 70. Inhale. Exhale. 80. Inhale. Exhale. 90. Inhale. Exhale. 100. Whew. Lay it on down. If you found that increasingly difficult, it's what your body needs. All right, toes tap down, let the knees roll to one side, eyes gaze to the other. Now, Joseph Pilates, in his core work, began the Pilates practice with that 100. So it gets us started in oxygenation of our body. It gets us started with our core activation and integrating our breath within the connection and control of our entire body. It is an integral and vital piece of what we do as in our Pilates practice. However, he also recognized that it was very challenging to begin that way, and so therefore began with 50 counts. All right, let's go ahead and elongate those legs, sending them out and away. If this has hit your natural stopping point, we can make it a short one today. Otherwise, we're going to introduce the mobility in the breath cycle of our rolling like a ball. Let's take a nice good inhale here. Exhale, chest lift up. Roll and round it up. Reach those toes away. Try and lift and elongate the spine. Deep activation of the core. Reaching towards those toes. And restack it back up nice and tall. Now our roll up here is our precursor to all of our rolling series. So we're going to do 3 to warm up. Big inhale here. I want you to draw the exhale into the deep low part of our rectus abdominis and transverse abdominis in the lower 4-pack. Now I just want you to pause here. With that activation drawn in, you should feel a pelvic lifting and a concentration into the core. This is where our powerhouse, part of our powerhouse connection is. Reach those toes in opposition, and now let's curl into that space just a bit more. So I want you to pause once you feel like, ooh, the upper rectus abdominis is now starting to take over. You have uncurled, so curl just a bit more, deepen into that space, engage the glutes. Take a big inhale here, and continue to curl under. Feel how that pelvic bowl rolls underneath you, and it deepens the connection glutes to lower core. And slowly peel it down, all the way down to the bottom. Now, if your feet are lifting, it's because our glute and abdominal connection, the lower half of that rectus abdominis is not strong enough. So they kind of lock your body in space and take it together. So just practice. All right, hands come up overhead. Remember from earlier episodes, you can also tuck your hands under. Big inhale there. Start with that upper rectus abdominis. Exhale, chest lift up. As soon as you can take it to the deep lower belly, start to curl it up, hollow into that space, like there's a bowling ball coming at you and you're trying to find that deep C curve. There it is. For me, I have a hard time at the bottom. It connects in. Now ride that momentum. Try to hollow into that space, like you're trying to draw your belly button backwards. Allow yourself to round forward and then restack it back up nice and tall. That's what's going to give us control in our rolling like a ball. So let's do our last and final one. Big inhale there, shoulders back and down, deep double chin, deep neck flexors. Hollow into the low belly, curling along the tailbone, keeping the spine long. Big inhale, exhale. Deepen it. Try not to let that upper rectus abdominis take over. Keep the deep focus into that core. Roll it all the way down, all the way to the bottom. Hands come up. Slow and controlled is the name of the game. Inhale here. In Pilates, slower is always harder. Chest lift up. It requires connection and endurance. Try to bring it to that deep lowest part of that rectus abdominis. Try to elongate through the crown of your head, through the spine, round through that space. And restack it back up nice and tall. All right, we're getting into our rolling series. In our rolling like a ball, we want to scooch forward so we have plenty of mat underneath us. If you do not have a thick mat, this can be uncomfortable on the spine. So this is one you definitely don't want to do on a thinner fitness mat or a yoga mat. You want that thick Pilates mat underneath you. All right, so I want you to sit up towards the front edge of your mat, hands in front of the shins, and let's go ahead and just draw your shoulders up, back, and down. Good. Now in that same roll down, I want you to find the deep lower belly. Exhale, deep in that space. Curl the tailbone under. Find the deep lower abdominals. Now, keeping that connection, shoulder blades are back and down. I'm pulling into my shins. Shins are pushing into my hands. I'm just going to float back on my tippy toes to the point where I'm balancing between my sits bones and my tailbone. Now, depending on your personal flexibility, you may grab in front of the shins, you may be grabbing behind the legs, but you want to get into a nice tight ball. Eyes should gaze towards the pubic bone. Try and round that shape. Good. If you have a flat shape in through that low back, you will sort of just arrive at the floor and not get back up. So the locomotion with this is our breath. Find a deep inner thigh squeeze. I want you to take a big inhale in. Notice how as you sip in that last bit of air, it starts to draw you naturally backwards. Don't roll back yet. Fight that roll back. and then we're gonna come back up nice and tall. Okay, now the breath pattern here is an inhale. As the ribs expand, it draws you backwards. Before you hit your neck, do a quick percussive exhale. Second percussive exhale to roll yourself back up. Try to maintain that nice tight ball. All right, deep lower abdominals. Tiptoe those toes in. Eyes gaze towards the pubic bone. Squeeze those inner thighs in. I'm hugging my heels towards my buns to create that connection. Big inhale there. Pause, try and balance. Deepen that mid-back connection. I let it go a bit. Good, big inhale there. Woo! A little bit too much locomotion. If you feel yourself getting shot forward, do one slow exhale. Okay, one more, big inhale there. Boop. And restack it up nice and tall. Now in a really good rolling like a ball, there should be no chin shooting forward and back, no releasing of the ball. The ball should look at this like the same shape, and you just magically arrive with the breath locomotion to the top and the bottom. All right, well this week is a little bit on the shorter side because I want you to find connections but not fatigue them, specifically when we are articulating through the spine. So we're just going to end with a few stretches here. Let's take those legs out nice and wide, finding a split stretch. Now I want you to anchor through that tailbone and try and grow tall through the ceiling. Since we did a lot of articulation, I want to focus in on flat back or hinging stretches. Roll the knees and toes up towards the ceiling, and let's walk those fingertips forward, trying to stay tall through the crown of your head. If you struggled with any of that and it wasn't pain, but maybe difficulty in finding the connections, that's why we call it a Pilates practice. You find that precursor motions that I broke down for you today, and we focus in on them. Toe taps is one of my favorite ways to get deep into the lower four pack of the rectus abdominis. We go low, mid, upper, and high, 8 full packs of individual fibers, fiber bundles that make up that rectus abdominis. And let's rotate towards the right side. I often hear people refer it to the lower abdominals, and then other people say, well, there's no such thing as the lower abdominals, and both are right. So the rectus abdominis, those fiber bundles do fire independently of one another. Think of it like springs. If you hooked a spring into a spring into a spring into a spring, and you tugged, and one of the springs was a little looser, some were a little tighter, over time, the springs are not going to be activating equally across all 4 of those spring pulleys. That's how our rectus abdominis is. So let's walk to the other side. So we can do focus work that helps us bring mindfulness and connection to some of the weaker parts of the spring system, if that visual makes sense for you. And as we rotate the other way. Also, if you've ever had any sort of abdominal surgery, orthoscopic surgery, or injury to your lower half of the torso, you're going to have a harder time feeling this work. So I highly recommend palpation or pressing into that abdominal space, and feeling how your muscles will brace up against you. And that's how we create connections when we don't neurologically feel connections. So with that, I'm going to leave you. You have some great homework ahead of you. And as always, thank you for supporting Pilates with Marilyn. Enjoy your practice. The rolling like a ball progresses to a lot of really fun, playful movements that celebrate the human body. So I look forward to doing those as we progress. Thank you, and have a wonderful rest of your day.